when you purchase a new RC plane, the last thing you want to do is to crash it. And especially if you have a nice looking warbird, I mean, you don't want to crash it. It's just that simple. And this then, this is my E-Flite S.E.5a. I mean, I was really excited when this one was released because I really love biplanes. And I think that this plane then would be comparable to the Gloster Gladiator, which is also a biplane, really fantastic one. But I managed just to crash this plane twice. So the first time was kind of a odd situation, really. I had kind of a, I don't know if it was a torque issue or something. The plane just turned to the left and I couldn't get it up fast enough. So I just went straight into a tree. The second time then I was against a blue sky and I just lost orientation. I think maybe there was something, just the wind influenced the RC plane, I don't know. But I would really consider that these two crashes is totally my fault, so not the plane's fault. But still, it's a really nice looking RC plane. And with some glue then I managed to just repair this plane, because the thing that breaks is these struts between the two wing, top and the bottom wing. Other than that, I mean, the prop survived. Landing gears on this plane is really solid. So just scuff marks and some glue, and I was up flying again. So before I just start to talk some more about this SE5a, let's look a good flight where this one flies without crashing.
So with many RC planes then, just to get them rolling on a little bit of rougher grass, you have to have a little bit of throttle push just to get them rolling, so avoid them to nose over. This flight then is on a 4S 2200 mAh battery 30C from Spektrum. Just a slight breeze today, for the good conditions. I have this just completely blue sky, which is not really the greatest for filming, but nevertheless, nice morning. So I'm going around to kind of a gentle round of aerobatics, just exploring this plane. So for being this size, in my opinion, and running on 4S, I mean, it's not a speedy RC plane, it's not the most agile, still you can go around and do a nice round of aerobatics without any issues. To me there is kind of one problem with this plane, and it is something that you really cannot do much about, at least if you want to have this one look as it should look, and it's the paint job on this plane. I mean, you have a lighter underside on the wing, so that surely helps for orientation. When you drop this plane below the tree line, I mean, it kind of disappears. So green planes, in my opinion, is not really the best color to choose unless you make them really kind of neon light green or something. It's a very well controlled plane. This is also equipped with AS3X Plus, kind of flight assist, in the way that it counteracts wind things and such. Now, I really can't say that I feel any big difference between the usual AS3X and this Plus version then. This plane, if I would compare this plane, I have the kind of Pitts S1S, smaller one from E-Flite also at, I think it's 850 millimeter. And it definitely feels a little bit bigger, of course, at 900 millimeters then. It's a little bit heavier plane, a little bit larger. But if you have the Gloster Gladiator from Durafly, it's also a warbird biplane. The Gloster Gladiator, to me, at 1100 millimeter is just the perfect size for a biplane. It's I mean, this plane flies good. but just compared to the Gloster Gladiator, then it's like no competition really. The Gloster is so much more enjoyable to fly. And one big reason why the Gloster is so much better is because it's silver. It just pops against the sky, and it's really visible. So let's get this down landing then. Landings are really easy with this plane. You more or less have some speed, you let the plane just glide down, and you flare all the way, so you have a nice 3-point landing just to avoid any nose over and bouncing, and G-Borgs gets great. So let's go in for the final landing then. No throttle, full elevator, let it drop, and you're down. Really easy to land this plane. Enjoyable plane without being anything extra really. It's a really beautiful looking warbird, this.
I must certainly compare this plane to the Gloster Gladiator. I think the Gloster Gladiator from Durafly is a fantastic flying RS airplane. It is fantastic in all areas, except for 2 areas where this plane is much better than the Gloster Gladiator. First off, the build on this RS airplane is much more enjoyable and better. I think that these wing wires are really great and easy just to put on and to disassemble. I think that this plane lands really well with a 3-point land. You could more or less just kill a throttle, glide down, pull full elevator, and you have a nice 3-point landing and no tendency to nose over, which I think is just fine. Even if you have a little bit of longer grass, I don't think that it will nose over as long as you just pull full elevator. So that's the things then that the Gloster Gladiator is not too great, because as with most Durafly RS airplanes, the build is not really that great, but they fly great. And then you have this short nose on the Gloster Gladiator, and this one is certainly also short, but on the Gloster Gladiator it does have a really strong tendency just to flip over unless you do a nice 3-point landing and keep up some speed. But with this plane then, you can land with no throttle, so I think it's just a really fantastic landing and also taking off RS airplane. I think it's a beautiful one. You have this scarf, or the pilot figure. Really easy to assemble this plane, great scale details. You have a nice hatch where you put the battery in. But I also have to compare to the Gloster Gladiator, because the Gladiator just have a kind of a foam piece that holds the battery. And even though it might sound like a really poor solution, it works fantastic and it's so easy and so cost effective. On this one, then you have this usual really silly straps that E-Flite just has, which I really despise. And you have also this great landing gear. I think that this landing gear then is comparable to the landing gear that comes with the Super Cub PA18 from FMS. Really solid metal construction with these plastic pieces. So I do think that the construction of this plane is really great. When it comes to how this one flies, I don't think it is actually anywhere near the Gloster Gladiator. I think the Gloster Gladiator is much more easy to see in the sky because it's silver. This is green. It does have a strong tendency just to disappear against if you have branches and such. And nature, as most of the time, is green. And although you have this bottom side which is lighter, I think that the stubby shape of this plane then makes it less easy to orientate than the Gloster Gladiator. And I also think the Gloster Gladiator flies more solid. Of course, it is a larger RS airplane, as many says, if larger RS airplanes just fly better. But it is something really fantastic about the Gloster Gladiator. And even though this one flies really well, I would say that the negative then is kind of the paint job on this RS airplane, because it is not as enjoyable, because when you go further away, I mean, it's not too exciting to see if you hold it back close, really nice details and such. But I'm not really fond of green RS airplanes. I think the features on this plane is really great. You can slow it down nice also, because you don't have to have any power when you're about to land. I think that, as with most biplanes, they do have more lift than single wing planes, so flaps is not really needed, and I don't think that there are biplanes with flaps. Of course, you can set up kind of a flap bronze, but I think that is really a thing that I wouldn't like to do with this plane. So my judgment of this plane then is it is a good flying RSL plane. It is quite agile. It is enjoyable to fly, but it's not as good as the Gloster Gladiator when it just crawls around in the air and do things. And I think the Gloster Gladiator is just a much superior plane when it comes to how it flies. But certainly it is a good flying RSL plane. It's not a favorite of mine, and I probably won't do too many flights with this plane before I let it go. But I'm also kind of impressed by, I mean, the severe crashes I had with this plane, and it was so easy just to put some glue on this plane and I can fly it again. So, I mean, I have to hand it to Rise and Hobby for at least making it easy to repair.